So apparently this shoe was cancelled, but Jordan Brand already shipped out a bunch of pairs to European retailers, and they had no choice but to make it a European exclusive. It's almost like if you cancel on a date, but then they tell you that they spent like a whole hour getting ready and you feel bad and you have to do it anyway. I still have no idea if it ever actually officially released in the United States. If it did, I totally missed it, but it definitely released in Europe. It is not too hard to get, and I'm glad that it never actually got fully cancelled. Air Jordan 1 Low 85 Royal. The shoe dropped on February 22nd for $160 in Europe. Still, like I said, I don't know if this is gonna have a US release date. Remains to be seen, or maybe it released and I just completely missed it. But as far as I know, it released in Europe. And this colorway, of course, it is an OG colorway on the Jordan 1 highs. The last time we saw the Jordan 1 High Royal was in 2017. We saw the low version most recently in 2015, so about a decade ago. That wasn't an 85 cut, so it's not as special. And of course, can't forget, in 2023 we saw the Royal reimagined, the high cut. A lot of people didn't like that. I didn't actually mind it. I thought it was a pretty nice shoe. And this colorway, Michael Jordan didn't actually wear on court like for the Chicago Bulls, but he did actually wear it in a photo shoot, and they became like a super famous poster, the Flight Guy poster. And the Jordan 1 still to this day had the most OG colorways that was released. Remember, there was like a whole metallic pack. Add them up and that's quite a few. And first impressions of the shoe, love it. The Royal colorway is one of my favorites as a black sneaker lover. I love when there's like a black base or a lot of black on the overlays. The Royal blue isn't like super bright or bold, so it doesn't like stand out too much. Still is pretty wearable, so I do like that. Yeah, one of my favorite OG colorways. My favorite is still the Bread, and then probably the Chicago's. This versus the Black Toes. Oh, it's close. It is close. I can't choose. Let me know which one you would choose in the comments below. And the materials on the shoe, it is completely leather, and initially it can feel kind of stiff, and that's actually a good thing, even though you might not feel like gives you that soft, supple feeling initially. But if you look at the thickness of the leather, it is actually decently thick, so that's a good thing. And then there's not like a super heavy polyurethane coating all over, and compared to a lot of Jordan 1 Low OGs where the leather just comes super thin, it is not like that. So that's a bonus. And now moving up the tongue, usually for a Jordan 1, you get like a nylon tongue. For 85 cuts, it's actually just slightly different in terms of the materials, not a huge difference, but when you like touch it, run your hands over it side by side, that feels slightly different. And at the very top, you get this Nike Air tag. That the font and the size of that is actually different as well compared to like a regular Jordan 1 Low OG. And the shoe does come with one extra set of laces, this blue Royal color. Out of the two, I still think black is probably my preferred one. The Royal is pretty nice as well, but since I can only go with one, I think black is the better choice. And speaking of this lace area, the 85 cuts also has 8 eyelets instead of 7 on the regular Low OGs. Special collaborations like the Travis Scott Jordan 1 Low OGs, they get 8 eyelets as well. I really don't like how Jordan Brand creates like another segment just for 85 cuts. Just give us the shoes like how it was supposed to be when it originally came out back in 1985. Make that the default, and don't make us like pay a little bit more for this special segment. Now wrapping around to the booty of the shoe, get this Wings logo debossed on the heel tab. For Jordan 1 Low non-OGs, the Wings logo comes on the heel counter here. For the OGs as well as the 85 cut, you get it on the heel tab, and then you see on the inside ankle collar over here, the product code of the shoe. That is also an 85 cut special feature. Now in terms of the shape of the shoe, you see the toe box can be like slightly sleeker, just doesn't have that very boxy shape that a lot of the modern day Jordan 1s comes with, and I think most people do prefer that look. And from a bird's eye view, the toe shape of the 85 cut is also slightly different. It's even different compared to recent 85 cuts. So the black and red Jordan 1 that just released, as well as this pair, you can see the toe isn't as like rounded or like almost squared as past 85 in recent memory. And then moving on to cushioning, the Jordan 1 Lows comes with a rubber cup sole with just the Nike Air on the heel. And because it's an 85 cut, the sole pattern here on the cup sole, that is also more true to the original from 1985. Not even the Jordan 1 Low OGs has that same type of pattern. And you also see that type of pattern on the Nike cutout in the midfoot area. The rest of it is this familiar concentric circle Jordan 1 rubber outsole. And the cup sole itself, it does seem to have like an off-white tinge. It's not like pearly, shiny white. It's not like pea stains. So that is definitely a good thing. I do not like it when they pre-age shoes when they don't really need to. And of course, this shoe does come with this little booklet that explains the technology of the Jordan 1 lows. Love that. Now this is interesting. For recent Jordan 1 low 85 cuts, if my memory serves me correctly, they've been giving us polyurethane insoles. This one, it is not a polyurethane insole. It is actually the same as you found on the Jordan 1 Bread, the 85 cut that just came out in February. And you also see the Mandarin characters here. Back in the day in 1985, it used to be Korean. That's where the shoes were manufactured. And it said of the highest quality. Now, because the shoe is made in China, they've changed it to Mandarin. And that basically says superior quality. And in terms of the quality of the insole, it is not as nice as like a polyurethane insole. It is, I feel like, slightly thicker than like really garbage Jordan brand insoles that they sometimes comes with. It is slightly better, only slightly better. I'm not too sure if this is exactly the same type that came in 1985. I don't have one of those original pairs side by side, but if I had to choose, definitely would have preferred like a polyurethane insole for this shoe. And when I take out this insole, you see it is board lasted. That is how the shoe came in 1985. So if you didn't know, they used to literally stick like a thick piece of cardboard. The box of the shoe, a Nike Jordan 1 box, and because it is an 85 cut, it is a slender type of box. Very good for space savings. Nothing too special inside. That's all you need. Now in terms of sizing and comfort, I am a wide and flat footer for low 85 cuts. I stick true to size. Now because this material is slightly thicker than you might be used to from other Jordan 1 lows, might feel kind of stiff initially when you're breaking the shoe in. So it might feel, for wide footers especially, kind of tight, but I would stick true to size, break it in. I think lengthwise, widthwise, it fits my feet pretty well. Now there's slightly more cushioning around the ankle and heel area on the 85 cut, and some people can find that slightly more narrow and tighter. If you prefer a looser fit and you have wide feet, you could go up half a size, but for me, I still recommend, even as a wide footer, have some patience, break it in. I would still personally go true to size. Now in terms of the comfort, a rubber cup sole is super durable, but it can also feel pretty ancient. It's kind of flat to the ground, doesn't give you a very cushioned feel. There's one Nike Air in the heel. It is very old shoe, very old technology. Don't expect the best. If you're used to wearing like other types of old shoes like Nike Dunks, Air Force Ones, Chuck Taylors, you definitely won't like complain about the comfort of this. It is very average, but nothing that'll make you want to rip the shoe and just toss it in the trash. And that brings the total sole score of the Jordan 1 Low 85 Royal to 33 out of 40. A pretty high score compared to other general releases. Now first it is colorway, 10 out of 10. I love the Royal colorway. Is it as legendary as like a Chicago or Bread? Maybe not, but personal preference has triumphed in this case, and I love it. It is great. And in terms of the materials for 85 cuts, I always do kind of expect slightly better materials than the usual kind of very average to garbage materials that Jordan brand gives us. And this time the leather, it is actually decently thick. It's not like super soft and flimsy like you do see on a lot of Jordan 1s. So that's definitely a bonus. And in terms of the comfort of this shoe, a Jordan 1 Low is not the most comfortable. This is an 85 cut as well. They didn't give us polyurethane insoles, gave us the insoles. As far as I know, it is very close to the 1985 original version, which might be close to the OG, but just in terms of comfort and a vacuum, it's not the best. And in terms of the versatility of the shoe, Jordan 1 Lows, I think, are the most versatile wearable silhouette ever, even compared to the high cut, just in a vacuum. And in terms of the wearability of the colorway, I think it's a very wearable colorway as well. Maybe a white-based sneaker is slightly easier to wear, but black and blue, just very simple, two majority colors. None of them stand out like a sore thumb, just so sleek, easy to pair. And I love it. I love how this looks. I still have no idea why this shoe was cancelled and came back, or at least came back in certain parts of the world. But I'm glad it did come back. It's not too hard to get, and with a pretty noticeable effort in trying to revive the popularity and hype of the Jordan 1s this year, with the Bread, with the Union LA collaborations, with a Fragment Design Union LA collaboration. I think later this year, they're really putting a lot of effort into restoring the heritage of the Jordan 1s. Where does this rank among all of them? It's great. It is a general release. It's definitely not as popular, but I think this is a delicious shoe. I love the Royal colorway. Jordan 1 Lows, always very, very easy to wear. Love it. I love how this was cancelled too late. Pairs were already sent and shipped out to European retailers. It's a win for all of us. So that's it. Thanks for watching. Sole Inclined. Let me know what you think of the Air Jordan 1 Low 85 Royal. Like, subscribe, comment, all the good stuff. And remember, tomorrow may never come, so wear your shoes.